Yeah, I missed yesterday's live stream. I've been busy with the window. It's getting close now. Every night it's raining into the bathroom, so I need to get the window fixed soon. And yeah, I had to deal with arranging everything to get it paid. So yeah, a lot of work yesterday, but now I'm back. Glad to be back. I missed it, but it was just too stressful yesterday. Had a really, really long day, and I'm glad that now I can rest back, like lay back a little bit. All not so easy when you suddenly have no more window, like in the bathroom. I never thought that would happen to me. So, but yeah, at some point it just came down, it fell, and apparently it's not so easy to get something like that replaced fast. But yeah, and now I'm cleaning seeds. I'm cleaning Sörensia seeds, hybrid seeds, kind of flower hybrids kind of stuff, to sow them out later on the channel. Some Lobivia, that kind of stuff. So yeah, this cross is really nice. This is a good cross. I hope that it was not self-fertile. Hope that it is a true hybrid cross, because the plant had kind of reliably fruit every year, and that is something that always kind of makes me suspicious. I'm always, pollinations, they sometimes fail, they sometimes succeed, and if something happens all the time reliably, it might be able to pollinate itself. Hey guys, welcome to the live stream. I missed yesterday's live stream. Been busy with the window. It's a never-ending story, but it's coming to an end soon, I believe, at least. The times of me living in the Bronx are over. I don't even know how it feels to have a bathroom window. So yeah, cleaning cactus seeds right now, and then we would check on the seedlings that I brought here. I bought a bunch, and I want to go through everything, but still cleaning seeds a little bit. I've had these lying here since yesterday, and I don't want that. Also, because it's too hot here, I don't want to have the seeds, the viability dropping. That can happen when seeds are stored somewhere where it's too warm. There's an oven right beside me, so temperatures here are warmer than what I want to have around seeds. So yeah, cleaning them fast now. But overall, it's getting warmer again over here. Gives us a little bit possibility to work outdoors. Really looking forward to that. Okay, so let me put these on a piece of paper so I can continue cleaning it a little bit. And yeah, welcome to the live stream, guys. Thank you for checking by. Yeah, this is a lot of work to clean the seeds here. A lot of different steps involved in getting to a corn of seed that you can sow out. So much work involved every time in every step of the process. The seeds have been cleaned in advance by being put through a sieve. Then you let them dry on a piece of paper towel, and then you can sow them out eventually. But we will be cleaning them a little bit more, because it's just not enough when you have one cycle of cleaning. Can often not be enough. So we're doing it by hand here, also browsing through everything. So yeah, welcome to the stream, guys. I appreciate it. I don't think I will miss a lot of streams in the coming week, but every now and then it can happen. But overall, I enjoy working by the clock, having every day having the same kind of cycle of things that I want to do. But yeah, winter is always a time where I'm glad when it's over. Not so much to do, or at least not the kind of stuff that you enjoy doing. No, I think nobody enjoys going out and working in the rain. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I missed yesterday. I was busy with the window. It was important to get quotes for the window, that kind of stuff. And now that I have quotes, I can finally say, okay, we're doing it with this kind of company. And I had to do that yesterday because it's been raining into the house, into the bathroom. It's like like in the Bronx, old school, how you picture them in a Run DMC video, like in front of a burning trash can. That's like my bathroom right now. So it's time that it ends. Looking forward to finally having that thing replaced. Crazy how much time and work it is to replace a big window. Apparently it's not so easy. Kind of stuff is just often you need to have exactly the right dimensions, and that costs money. Everything where you can't have like a standard kind of dimension, it's instantly getting more expensive than what a normal person can pay, into the thousands. If I had known that, I just had never opened the window again. It happened because I was kind of realizing the window was crooked, and I wanted to just rearrange it so it's straight again. And if I hadn't done that, maybe it had been up for another year or two. But now we're getting a new one. It's also not a bad thing. But yeah, that's why I might miss streams every now and then. It's just so important. I noticed that where it's raining in on the roof, it had kind of started to damage the wood panels and all, so I can't leave it like that for long. I don't like windows. They are very expensive. Too expensive for my taste. So yeah, and I'm cleaning seeds here. Cleaning seeds of Echinopsis valida, a hybrid cross with a colored kind of father. Where I have the hope to get something with the body of valida and a flower that is great. Something like Flying Saucer. Flying Saucer was among the parents that I used to pollinate. And yeah, that could be great. I can picture that kind of a hybrid with that body, which is unusual. You just don't see that kind of species being used so often, at least not yet. And that could be a great hybrid. Just giving it a bigger flower, a colorful flower, or making it flower more often. So yeah, I'm very glad about the seeds, but again, I still suspect they might be, maybe it's self-fertility. We'll see how that goes. Every time a plant always has seeds, like always manages to grow a fruit, I kind of get suspicious. And I've had it with this one. The last fruits, they were always very big, which is always something that that gets me to think it might have to do with self-pollination. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. If the hybrid cross was true, real hybrid cross, we could get a great flower and interesting kind of body. So yeah, this is the type of stuff that I personally grow too, because I feel like I don't want to have everything full of Cantora and just Cantora. That kind of body, it's everywhere right now. So I just need to do something else. So I'm also trying not to throw away any viable seeds here. Would be a waste. If the hybrid cross is true, it would be a waste. Hey, good day. Welcome to the stream. Thank you guys for joining us. Just cleaning some seeds here in the hope that we can sow them out soon on the channel maybe. And yeah, hopefully the hybrid cross was true. Sometimes it's hard to tell. That's why you need to keep an eye over a plant over multiple years. Sometimes 5, 6 years. Then you can say, okay, this plant had fruits in every year with every flower that it had. Then you probably have something that manages to pollinate itself, and it happens more often than we think. Some species are just so fertile that they manage to do that. And again, thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them. If not, we're just doing classic cactus work that I do over winter, cleaning seeds and sowing out, that kind of stuff. I have a bunch of containers that I want to check later. Almost certainly we will find some of the fungus gnats that we've already seen in the last days, and I hate it. But sometimes they don't really, they kind of are there, but not out of control. So we hope that's what I hope. We'll see how it goes. If not, we might have to transplant the seedlings from one container to the other, which is something that I do a lot. It's not easy to transplant tiny seedlings, but it can be done if you know what to do, you know. I do not grow any kind of like succulents kind of plant other than cacti, maybe with the exception of 1 or 2 that I just got as a gift, or got, you know, when my wife brought something home from the garden store, something like that. I might have 1 or 2, but overall, I'm using the little space that I have to make crosses with them in order to get bigger flowers. A lot of the work that I do is focused on getting nice flowers, big flowers, that kind of stuff. So yeah, a lot of Echinopsis, Serenzia, these kinds of plants that are known to have bigger flowers sometimes. I wish I had more space. I wish I could sometimes say that I'm putting a few, I don't know, euphorbia here and there in between, you know. But my space is so limited, and every year we're growing new ones. Because that's something you just have to do as a breeder. Because you made all these crosses, you did a lot of work to get them, to get the seeds, and then you want to kind of know what came from them. So you often sow out, and you're constantly out of space. So hopefully building another greenhouse at some point, because it takes a lot of space to just grow a few seedlings per cross that you make. I made hundreds of crosses this year, and yeah, it just takes a lot of space to sow so many out. And if you don't sow them out, you might never know what came from them. That is the kind of dilemma that you are in sometimes. I always gave a lot of seeds away, so I get to see a lot of the flowers now. After 6, 7 years, it takes a long time for them to finally flower, and that is the main goal of the cross, to get a cool flower. Ideally, also on a nice kind of body, more like a columnar cactus kind of body. That is the kind of stuff that I enjoy. It's just more of that classic cactus kind of look that you grow up with. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, what the next years bring. Wish I had more space to grow them out myself also. But it's every year you have to reliably sort out a lot. Otherwise, you just don't have the space for the next generations. And when you give seeds away, everything can happen. Very often people surprise you by having perfect bookkeeping stuff, you know, with the cross number, with the year that the cross was, and sometimes in other times people lose the label within short time. You never know what kind of a cross that was. You can guess, but you will never know for sure. That can happen too, and you never know which is which. A lot of people surprised me, like people who got their first kind of cactus seeds and growing from cactus, like growing from seeds is not easy. So I was sometimes surprised when people were growing them for the first time, and a few years later they were posting how they were flowering, really nice healthy plants and all. You never know. Some people are just they kind of have a thing for it, and you never know which is which. So you have to give away seeds all the time. Okay, so this is a cross from 2025. Putting it aside because that one I want to sow out maybe. But I'm really worried that it might be self-fertility. That would kind of mean that I'm growing a lot of seedlings and use a lot of space. And in the end, the flowers might also be white because the mother has a white flower. And if that was a self-pollination, there's less chance of getting colored flowers. So I often do not sow out self-pollinated seeds, like seeds from a plant where I believe could be able to self-pollinate. Because I already have that kind of a plant, you know, you have the mother plant where it came from. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the stream. I'm back. Missed yesterday's stream. It was just the window again. It's always the window. I usually try to, when I miss a stream, do a post on the YouTube channel. Somehow they also offer the chance to post an update, and that's what I usually do when I miss a stream. And it might happen more often, but I try not to. I'm just still in the middle of getting this window fixed, and sometimes people come over around the time I would do a stream. It's important that it's done. It's been raining into the bathroom heavily. Like the last few days, we had a few where it rains really badly, and it kind of has the feeling that you have an indoor water park. But yeah, it's good that it's in the bathroom because the bathroom has a lot of like stone kind of plates, so it's not hardwood floor or something like that. But it's still not ideal when it's raining into the bathroom. So yeah, but I'm glad to be back. I already brought seedlings here, but a lot of them are smallish, so we'll see how they look. But I first want to get some of the seeds cleaned because they've been lying here for a while, and it's pretty hot from the oven. So I try to get them into the bag soon and away from the heat. It's often good when if you want to keep seeds, like if you want to the viability time, the life that's in the seeds, putting them in a freezer can work. A lot of seed banks are freezing seeds, but it has to be done right. Has to be done dry, really dry. If you have humidity inside the closed bag, if you are like when you are freezing seeds in plastic bags, and you have humidity in it, it can greatly reduce the viability, the germination rate later. So it's always good to keep them dry, maybe with a drying agent, and then you can freeze seeds and they would stay viable for quite some time, 5 to 10 years maybe longer. I'm not sure. It really depends on what kind of a seed, what kind of a hybrid it is, or what kind of a species it is, and how dry it is. And the same is true with pollen when you're pollinating, like when you're collecting pollen and putting it in the freezer. I have a big bag of pollen. I usually collect more pollen than I can use, and it's like a running gag for me because I keep collecting all that pollen and then I use a tiny bit of it. But it should stay fresh and viable in the freezer for years. So it's not so bad. Sometimes you can go back and work with a species or with a hybrid that you might not even have anymore. I've lost a few plants here and there, and it's always a good thing when you can go back and still have pollen from that plant in order to maybe get something similar again. Has definitely helped me a few times. So yeah, after this one, I will continue with the seedlings, checking the seedlings and all. I have ordered new soil, but over the weekend nothing really happened. We had a lot of kind of ice rain, kind of conditions where it becomes dangerous to drive. So not a lot of updates about the soil, but it will arrive soon. And then we're working with something like sowing soil. So what I'm doing here, I'm cleaning the seeds and I'm kind of browsing non-viable seeds into the tray that I have below. Just so I can only have the viable ones. Sometimes they are flat, like the unviable ones are flat, and the ones that have the chance to come up, they are roundish. How much pollen are you storing? Like a lot. I have a huge bag, like this kind of size bag, and it's full of tiny paper bags with pollen, and it's basically, I can bring it to the stream in one of the next episodes and can show it. It's just I use a lot of paper bags because they allow the humidity to get out. So whatever you put in there will, if kept cool, if you put it in a freezer, it will stay viable for a while. And you sometimes can't say the same about plastic bags. It can work, but the fact that also these little bags are they generate electricity, and when you kind of brush the pollen into the bag, then it stays sticking to the inside of the bag. You can't take it out again so easily afterwards. And the thing with the humidity comes on top of that. So I use small paper bags like this. That are sold for stamp collecting. People are putting stamps into them. And over here I have something similar. These are just a little bit bigger. This is something by Uwe Kahle. And yeah, just paper bags for seeds. And you can also, you get them in all kinds of sizes. and the smaller they are, the more useful they can be for pollen collecting. And yeah, you only collect the pollen, just the flower dust that's coming from the flower, and nothing else. And then the viability is can be multiple years at least. 2 to 5 years could be possible. But of course, you have to constantly cool it. If you at some point, if you take it out all the time and put it back in, take it out, put it back in, keep it out for so long, then at some point it won't be viable anymore. Ideally, you keep all the pollen in the freezer, and you take out like tiny bags of it that you need to work on that day, and you only take that out. The rest stays in, like that. And then you can store the pollen very long. Really, definitely years. I did a lot of crosses last year or in the last season where I used frozen pollen. I prefer working with fresh pollen just from the flowers, but you don't always have that kind of luxury. And sometimes every year the same plants are flowering at the same time in the year. So you have to if you want to make a cross with them, it has to be with a plant that flowers at the same time. And if that doesn't happen, then it's good to have the pollen frozen, so you can make the cross that would otherwise not be possible. Because in my collection, I've noticed that when I go back and look at the photos or the videos, let's say I look at the videos in May, end of May 25th. Around that time, I always have the same kind of plant flowering, like the same kind of hybrid. That is something that where every species is kind of a little bit different, or a lot of species are unique in the way they are flowering at the time they are flowering. And yeah, if you want to make crosses with them that you haven't done before, because if always the same plants are flowering simultaneously, then you will kind of the same crosses on regular basis. So at some point it can really help you to freeze the pollen, to work with it at a later time whenever you need it. So yeah, I will show that pollen collection thing that I have, and every year I kind of start a new one, because you need to know from which year the pollen is. You need to either write it on every bag or write it out on the bag, like big on the bag itself, so you know that which pollen comes from which year. Because otherwise you after 2-3 years you have forgotten if something was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I mean, it really matters because it can affect the viability. I always try to work with the freshest pollen possible, but it's sometimes not possible to have that. You get that unusual flower every now and then, sometimes late in the season, sometimes early. Someone wrote, "Be safe from pollen allergy." That is really something with these kinds of big flowers, that when you stand under a big flower, like they are usually above my head, then you look up to that flower and kind of try to brush pollen into a bag, then you will get a lot of it that you inhale. So I've definitely had that where I've been working pollinating for half an hour and I had to stop because I wasn't getting any oxygen anymore. So that can definitely happen. Okay, so let me see what this was. These are from a Rosa California hybrid. Rosa California, Legon. What was it? I don't know. Buena Vista something. It's a multi-hybrid with 5-6 different parents. I will look it up later. But the flower is incredibly beautiful. Not huge, but beautiful. So this is something that I would sow out because I've been trying to increase the flower size and keep the kind of nice color that it has. So yeah, okay, let's do some seedlings here and there. All right, let's see. I already see seedlings that are lying. That is not good. That is almost certainly related to fungus gnats. I'm sure that will come out here. Not seeing them, but they might still be here because you can see that one seedling here. It looks like something ate the roots. It's really hard with fungus gnats. Once you have them in the soil, it's almost impossible to get rid of them again. So sometimes easier to avoid, but I hate spending the extra time to pasteurize the soil. It's such a time-consuming thing because you always have to do it right away, and you can't leave the soil. You can't leave the soil unattendedly because you did all the work to get the soils kind of pasteurized, not sterile but pasteurized, and then you need to instantly work with it, or you will have fungus gnats again. That is just something that is not easy to deal with. And every time you work with the hot water again, it adds one step. And sometimes, in most cases, when you buy sowing soil, it shouldn't have fungus gnats in it. That is pretty rare, actually. So yeah, I just hope next time the soil will be clean. There are disinfectants and stuff that you can add, but I'm not really a believer in that. Like, at least not in the sense where you put in like a fungicide already, just as a preventative. I don't really believe in that. No worries. I'm mostly just checking on seedling containers, talking about my new arch enemy, the fungus gnats. Crazy how common they can suddenly be if you just get the wrong kind of soil. And while I'm talking about them, here's one in the seedlings. But the good news is the seedlings look still healthy. I mean, it's not very often, it doesn't affect them, but it can. You might lose one or two seedlings here and there. At some point, we will have to take off the lid and spray them on a regular basis, keeping the humidity high. The moment you take them out the bag, you have to compensate for the lack of humidity. Are they only dangerous for seedlings, or do they hurt more mature plants? Well, they are mostly a problem in the first years, like where they can really be dangerous and where the seedling doesn't make it. With larger plants, you shouldn't get into a situation where fungus gnats can be a problem, because larger plants don't need that kind of humidity that you just need for the seedlings. They are more sensitive in the first years, the first 2 years maybe. They need a little bit more water than later on, and that's just a setting where fungus gnats can really thrive. They enjoy that kind of steady humidity and organic soil. And when you're growing seedlings, in my opinion, even cactus seedlings, a more organic soil can get the best results in regards to growth speed. It's kind of difficult to mix a mineral soil exactly the way it needs to be. Of course that's possible, and I know like specialized breeders, really good breeders, that have studied the craft, that kind of mix their own soil, then sometimes even sell that. And it's mostly stuff like washed pumice, expanded clay, perlite, stuff like that, you know. But for the beginner, sometimes it can have the better results to just grow in a classic sowing soil. And yeah, that is the kind of stuff that that greatly influences the survival rate in the beginning. And once you use that more organic soil, the fungus gnats just love it. Once you have them in the bag, it's very difficult to get rid of them again. Most cases probably not possible unless you transplant them into completely new pots with new soil. And even then you might be unlucky that you just forgot to take off one of these tiny larvae that they have. So really easier to prevent it. Easier to just get a soil that is clean or pasteurize it. And like I said, I don't like that. It's a lot of extra work that it adds to an already time-consuming like kind of work. Someone's writing that the mineral soil would be too coarse. That sounds like a sandy kind of soil. If the seeds are like accidentally, if the soil moves a little bit, like when you, for example, when you use just sand, like sandstone sand, or that kind of a reddish kind of loamy sand, if you have a lot of like mineral particles that move, like because they are shaped round, like with a round shape, for example, what happens a lot with sand, then it's very difficult for the seedlings to, for one, generate enough humidity to germinate, because the sand or the mineral medium instantly dries out all the humidity that you have put in there. So you have to constantly water again. But the medium is so kind of in structure, so fast draining, that the soil always dries so fast that the seeds don't get the time they would need to come up. So that is a big problem. That is one of the reasons why I often say, the less experience you have, the simpler you should work. Just go back to the principle of sowing out, just a classic sowing soil. Nothing fancy, nothing that requires a very specific recipe, because very often we will not get all the minerals that are in the recipe that is put out there when you search for kind of mineral soil recipe. And then you see a long list of stuff, and if you just take one thing out, it might not work anymore, because there's a reason someone is putting something in there, you know. And in that case, it can be easier to just get classic sowing soil. That's what it's sold for. And in many cases, it will just have the right humidity that the seedlings will get, the right time it takes to dry, and the ability to be wetted again, like putting water into it again, and then without it becoming like a brick, kind of forming that massive kind of thing where the roots can no longer grow into. So that is all stuff that when you buy sowing soil, that is not a problem. So in my opinion, work with sowing soil first. If that works reliably all the time, then maybe start experimenting with mineral soil, because then you already have that kind of knowledge of the medium, and you know what the medium has to have. And if the mineral medium isn't able to replace it, then there's no reason to use it. So yeah, I used a lot of mineral medias, and a lot of them have disappointed me. The one that didn't is washed pumice. Washed pumice is a great kind of medium for seedlings and everything growing up, but I like to grow them in sowing soil in the first year and then move them to washed pumice. because at that time they are already beyond the point where they need so much humidity, and at that point it can become safer to grow them in a mineral medium. But in the first year, humidity is very important. So always good to kind of make things as easy as possible. So yeah, I'm not sure if I opened this one yet, but everything's looking normal. Just healthy seedlings. A few, like where something came up, where a seedling germinated, but it's a tiny seedling, one that will never grow into a healthy plant. You can already tell that very often. Sometimes they change color, turn reddish. You can see that something's not right, and I always take those out. And you gotta be careful, because there are times when you get crested seedlings or monstrous seedlings that can look similar, that stay a little bit behind. Just because something is growing slower doesn't mean it needs to be taken out of the container, but it can be. It really depends on if you see that something is starting to wilt, starting to change color, turning mushy, that kind of stuff. As long as that isn't happening, you can just leave it and observe it. Okay, these will go under the lamp again. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, also healthy looking seedlings. I think I forgot to put a tag in there. That happens a lot to me. I have a lot of problems, like not forgetting stuff that I'm currently doing, because the short-term memory isn't so good anymore. So I always need to write the label right away, and if I don't do it, I might forget it. So yeah, these will remain mystery seeds, but that's okay. Nothing I've sown out is kind of something that I wouldn't raise, so I could, whatever it is, it will be great. And at some point I might be able to identify what it is, like when I see the body, when I see the flowers, then that will tell me a little bit about it. Okay. A lot of healthy looking seedlings. No fungus gnats, which is great. I like that. Okay, let's see. Not so many seedlings in here, and they aren't looking like healthily. They look like the cross might be something of like an intergeneric hybrid. Seedlings look a little bit more like Lobevia than anything else. But they are healthy. It's okay. But I can already tell you these will be growing very slowly. Okay. Next one. And yeah, welcome everyone to the chat, to the stream. Always happy to answer questions if you are like kind of sowing out. I really recommend it. It's a great hobby. So yeah, this one also Uwe Kahler hybrid seeds. A lot of seedlings that have finally come up. I had moved these away from the heater already a few days ago, and they are coming up one after the other. Looking good. I'm happy with that. That is the kind of nice kind of stuff that I enjoy. Okay. So tonight I got a book order. Want to say thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Every now and then I get a book order of the indie books, like the Cactus books that we did. And yeah, I appreciate it. I might do the signing and the stamping on the channel. We'll see in the next days when I'm packing the order. So these are here. This is from a cross with Angelo, and it might be the last cross that I was able to do with that plant, because I lost it. I think it was attacked by slug or got something like a sunburn, and within short time it was gone. So it's important to grow something. Maybe I can get something similar from the seeds that I have. We'll see. Made a lot of crosses with it in the last few years, last 3-4 years. One of my favorite kind of hybrids because it crosses well with Echinopsis and Lobivia. Okay. Yeah, and these still need to go to the heater. So I will get a few more so we can check them, and then I'll do some more seed cleaning probably. Give me a second, I just want to move these. Okay. Getting 10 maybe that I want to check. Always a lot of work to check them. Okay, this is enough. So let's open them up, and then we'll see. And when we're done, I will move them back to the heater. Not to the heater, to the lamp, under the plant lamp. So yeah, overall we've been growing cactus seedlings on the channel for maybe a month. I guess that is roughly the time we've been doing it. And we've grown so much. I mean, I often open up the seedlings to show them on the channel, because we've already did a lot, you know, a lot of good work. We gotta congratulate ourselves a little bit. Sometimes we gotta support ourselves, and yeah, we have a lot of seedlings in the next couple of years. Will be great. Like, will be that little bit of stuff that we can show on the channel, like how they are developing and all. But also work into the future, long term. In 7 years from now, we might be able to see the flowers. I'm not sure if I would still do the channel by then, but we'll see. In this container here, I noticed that the humidity wasn't enough. The soil was too dry, and I had seen seeds coming up that look like they are tiny seedlings, where I'm not sure if the seedling will be big enough to survive. We'll see how that goes. We'll give them more time. Okay. I repositioned a few of them because I feel like they looked a little bit loose. But only a few seedlings here and there. This needs to go under the lamp, so they come up. Putting them under a lamp can help. Yes, thank you. I'm really proud of the streaming myself too, you know. I've never done that before. Never, and I would have never thought that I would do it. Really never. I often, you know, I often want to do something and don't do it, and often then I'm so hard on myself all the time. And after I have, like, not even tried to do it, but thought about doing it and never doing it, I just at some point wake up and decide today's the day. Now we're finally, you know, I often kind of need to wait for the right moment, and it just felt right. I should have already done it in summer when all the flowers were opening up, you know. like what I recorded in summer, where I was just filming a flower, just putting the camera on a flower, letting it run, and the background with the birds and all. It was just great kind of stuff that I filmed and I uploaded as video. But around that time, I could have already streamed it. But I just had to learn how to kind of use the medium a little bit first indoors. Indoors, it's always easier to control the environment. And when I'm streaming, then outdoors it can be a little bit more challenging. And it's very unforgiving. You gotta always make sure everything goes right. You can't really do a second take. You always have to be in that kind of mindset where you edit yourself already. So yeah, but I enjoy doing it still. At some point, it's just a logical conclusion. I like streaming. I like when I look at that kind of a way to interact with people. I enjoy that. I enjoy, like, I'm not someone who watches a lot of streams, but I like the idea to just kind of, you get to know a person a lot better when you see them like that on over an hour maybe. It's something that you often don't get across in a shorter video, in a reel. Gets harder to show who you actually are when you aren't giving yourself the space. And I really had to learn that. Also in Instagram, I just looked at the statistics on Instagram, and Instagram is a platform where I've had 270 million reach in a month. And on Instagram, but then I felt like it was going nowhere. I was just, every time I went viral and I had all these millions of visitors, millions of people commenting, but it was not going anywhere for me as a creator. I was feeling like it felt like these people will never come back to the page. They will not stay long-term visitors. They are looking for whatever page that is just there to have a discussion that they already want to have. We are kind of picking the kind of subject that is interesting to us, and I felt like I have all that viral audience, but it's not long-term users that actually like who I am or what I do. In fact, a lot of the comments that came in these situations were kind of harsh, like people that didn't know that all the problems that I had with the muscles, that the way I'm talking is a little bit, where I had to learn it again. And that is the kind of audience that you sometimes have. Not always, because I often had a good audience, but I felt I rather use Instagram as some sort of kind of portfolio where people that have heard about me on other platforms, like on YouTube, for example, people watch the videos, they kind of find the flower videos now, and then they look on other platforms to kind of follow that creator. And if you have a profile that is completely different to how the other profiles are, it's kind of off-putting. It kind of gives you like a weird idea. You are unsure. I think Steve Jobs once said that you have to be very clear in who you are, or in your kind of signaling about who you are or your identity. And that is really true, because since I started using Instagram, I'm not looking at the statistics anymore. I don't care if the reach is going down. Long term, I believe it is good for the brand, for who I am, for me as a channel, for growing the channel, to just be unified on every platform, having a similar kind of profile. So yeah, now Instagram, for me, the statistics, they have all gone down since I kind of focus on the flower stuff. But it also meant that 1 or 2 posts have gone viral that were just about who I am, about my videos, or even about Kami. Like a post with Kami went viral, that got almost 100,000 like reach on Instagram. And Kami is now, you know, she's over 16 years old, and I've never seen that happen on any kind of platform. I've always posted about her, and as far as the social networks were concerned, it was going nowhere. They weren't giving it an audience. They weren't showing it to an audience, and now they suddenly do. They changed a bunch of things, you know, where it has become easier for you as a with a good post, with a good and original post to go viral. And I believe my strength lies in that, because we can film easily, do any kind of original stuff here. You see it in the stream now. You see it in the flower videos or time lapse or whatever we do. There's no limitation. So I see a lot of long-term potential, to just be me, be myself, and that kind of stuff. And I'm happy that I did it. I really am. I'm prouder. It just does not a lot to you when you're going viral with something that is a meme or something that you reposted. It just doesn't mean as much as when you do it yourself, like with something that you've grown from seed corn to flower, or, you know, something like when I'm showing something from my personal life. Both Mika and Kami are amazing, and, you know, they probably would even have greater potential than what I do, you know, for social media. So I'm just happy that it is now a little bit easier to show the stuff that's going on in my life, and still have that the audience that I had before. Not exactly as much, but it's the quality kind of audience that has come up now a lot and makes me happy. Yeah, I mean, I met a lot of good people in the community, in the cactus community, in the plant community. I met a lot of people that aren't rich, that are struggling, kind of, because it is a hobby that also, now with social media, there's the chance to go viral with it. But overall, it's not so easy compared to stuff like classic influencer accounts, gardening accounts. They start going viral now. In my opinion, this will become like the YouTube channel that I'm doing now. This could become like the kind of gardening TV shows that we used to watch back then. You know, people always pick their kind of content that they like, their kind of creator, and just subscribe and watch whatever that account is posting. And that has a lot of the model that Garden TV has, you know. So yeah, that is the kind of stuff that where it's also hard to make a living, unfortunately. And most of the people that I ever met were still, they didn't have much, but they were very generous in general. Like sharing plants is just something that is kind of a common theme. Sharing seeds, we help each other. It's a tight community, and yeah, that will always stand out. But I mean, you will also make negative experience. It's always like that too. But overall, my whole impression of the community is very good. There are always certain kind of subgroups, or, you know, where toxic community comes up, but it's really not normal. It's not the norm. So yeah, I mean, I also follow a lot of groups on Facebook, and there are a few here and there, where there's a lot of arguments, but I'm not seeing a lot of it. And if it does happen, there's usually a good reason for it. So yeah, still checking a bunch of seedlings here and there, but most of them are all right. Haven't seen a lot more like problems long term. It's always kind of difficult because we take days to get through all the containers to just open them now, because we have sown out so many. Yeah, but they are looking good. Whatever we have sown out, no matter in which stages they are, 10 days, 30 days, they're looking great. Getting spines. These here are getting the first spines. First set of spines, and that is often a sign that everything is going great. When I see that, I do not change anything, just putting them back again. That's great. You are doing great. I like you just the way you are. That kind of mindset. Just putting them back under the lamp. Okay, so in here, looks kind of weird. There are 1 or 2 seedlings that are very tall, and some that are lying, like that do not have a good connection to the ground. Could be Lobevia. Yes, Lobevia winteriana. Feel like they are the seedlings of that species. They often stretch very fast in the beginning. Pretty biggish kind of seedling. So yeah, but they are looking okay. Like that. And this one here, I see a fungus gnat, and I already wanna be unhappy about it. But no problem with the seedlings. I mean, there are 2 tiny seedlings in it. Nothing really that could be negatively affected by the fungus gnat. There are probably more fungus gnats than seedlings in this one. Let me see what kind of a cross this was. Seeds 2024, but a multi-hybrid cross. Could be the genetic health is just not good enough. Okay, so yeah, let me get a few more, and then we're cleaning some seeds again. I just try not to do too much seed cleaning because I don't like it. It's too much work. Okay. I'm constantly going through seedlings. But I'm already looking forward to the next season. This will be great. Next year, I will have a greenhouse full of plants that are flowering for the first time. So we might really have a good year next year. Might be the last one on the channel. We'll see. Every year is like kind of always such a lot of work that every year I consider to retire. We'll see how it goes. Hey mate. Great to have you around. Yeah, found a lot of fungus gnats. Very unhappy about that. But then again, I was too lazy to pasteurize the soil, so it's no surprise, you know. It's not that I'm kind of fungus gnats, you know, after not having done any of the prep work that you should do, you know, that I would recommend you do. But sometimes I'm just, you know, sometimes the easiest way can work, but it's not always like that. I often try to use the sowing soil out of the bag, and if you already have fungus gnats in that thing, you're in for a bad kind of time. But so far it's okay. Every now and then when I open one, we get like a fungus gnat coming up, and that's it. These are looking great, by the way. No problemo. I've sown out a lot of seedlings from Uwe Kahler hybrid crosses. And good stuff, like with Bamboy. I'm sure that Bamboy will increase the quality of hybrids by a lot, by a magnitude. It will become one of the defining kind of hybrids in the next maybe 10 years because it is so good. I was blown away. I've seen a lot of hybrids flowering here, and Bamboy really blew me away. Really good kind of flower. Okay, this looks great. Still very early on, just tiny seedlings, but okay. You can see that a lot of them are reddish, so could be variegated, could just be stressed from the lamp. We'll see how that goes. In the beginning, I try to confront them with a strong lamp right away. I don't want them to start being sensitive and all. They will grow into big cacti, so they can often take it in the beginning already. Over here, for the first time, I see that something isn't really perfect on the soil. Kind of a discoloration of the soil. Like it could be a little bit moldish. So we might have to, at some point, transplant the seedlings. But for now, it's okay. They have big spines already. Growing healthily. So whatever that thing is on the soil, it doesn't really affect the growth negatively. At least that. So the minimum goal, if this thing keeps like turning white, like inside the closed bag from fungus or whatever, we have to transplant the seedlings into a new medium. And these were cemetery soil, that is kind of black, that kind of black soil that you can just, that is very resistant to kind of moss overgrowing, algae overgrowing. But apparently fungus gnats love it. So next time we're just using sowing soil again. These are Flying Dragon hybrid. Flying Dragon Cantora 1433. Reinhard Liske hybrid 1433. That is from, I don't know, 2005 maybe. One of the older Liske hybrids. And these are from a cross with Flying Dragon, one of the newer hybrids. Very fast growing, very slender. In my opinion, it is a obvious hybrid of Kamagensis, Sörensia Kamagensis. But who knows? And the father here, Cantora 1433. So you get kind of a mix between the big flower that you see on Flying Dragon and the kind of early flowering from Cantora and the kind of color, multicolored kind of flower from Cantora. So you get a little bit of the best of both worlds, and that can be great. I have maybe 5 or 6 different kind of seedlings that are from that cross, and they are nice, really good big flowers. Okay, no fungus gnats in this one. Seedlings looking great. That's what I want to see. Healthy grows. A few of them still have seed corns on top, like a little head, little kind of Mr. Cactus head. But very often they just at some point fall off. It depends how tight it is stuck on the seedling. Sometimes you need to take them down in order to avoid a fungal infection. Because the seedling will keep growing, and at some point it will run out of space from the seed corn kind of husk kind of thing that is around. So you might have to take them, like, just give it a gentle push sometimes if you see there's a seed corn stuck, but be careful not to kind of, it is very easy to throw over a seedling. Or sometimes even like injure when it's stuck on the seedling's tip. But these look great. I'm always happy to take general questions if you guys want to, like, you know, running into problems at home. Always happy to help. There's a fungus gnat again. We are not getting friends. Not seeing that. I never really, in the past, like, fungus gnats can happen sometimes that you run into problems. But I often had luck when I got it, like when I got the sowing soil out of the bag. I often had just luck that they weren't in there. Now with the other kind of soil, we'll see. Might be something where they kind of treat the sowing soil a lot harsher to avoid stuff like these kinds of fungus gnats kind of things than the soil that they are selling to just put out on a cemetery. I mean, if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. So we'll see if we will get fungus gnats again when I'm getting sowing soil, when I have the sowing soil. Go out, man. I don't want to, you know, I try to be kind of treat all living things with respect, you know, so, but they really bother me. They're really overdoing it. They're kind of like, I see it as my fault that they are there because there are many ways to prevent them. So I'm trying not to punish them for their nature, but they still kind of frustrate me. They still kind of, you know, feels like that when family comes to visit, like that distant part of the family that can sometimes come over to visit, and you really don't want them to. So yeah, it is just my job to avoid that better the next time. Okay. Let's see what this is. So there's a seedling that's lying around there. And that is something that I really don't like to see, because it's often a sign that the roots have been kind of weakened either by fungal infection or by fungus gnat or anything that can kind of start having a lunch with the roots there, like kind of taking a bite out of the roots. But yeah, for now it's looking okay. Haven't seen fungus gnats in here, so that's great. Okay. Now I want to clean a few more seeds here, because otherwise there will never be progress. I will never do it. Like in my spare time, I'm sitting there with Mika and Kami watching something that I like, and I just never feel like cleaning seeds. Hey mate, good evening for you. Like, I'm in relatively early in the day, morning. So greetings to a totally different like kind of time. I always find that interesting when doing the stream, because everyone has a different kind of time zone. Such a simple thing, but I'm always amazed by that. Like, it allows people to participate everywhere in the world, and that is great. That is awesome. I like that. Yeah, I would spend a lot of time working indoors over winter now, and I'm streaming it, at least large part of it. Always taking questions, either on specific cactus stuff or general stuff. I'm always happy to go off topic, because otherwise I'm too bored. I always kind of have to push myself. So I enjoy it. So kind of it stays interesting, you know. And when you are going into a stream, it kind of, you never know what you get, and I enjoy that part of it. Question: do you sanitize the soil? In this case, peroxide. I used to do it in the past, and it's a great way to kind of get the seeds somewhat clean. It doesn't work. It doesn't sterilize, you know, like you wrote sanitize. I'm sure it makes a big difference. I used to do it in the past, but this time I ran out of disinfectant. You know, you can't. They aren't selling it in a percentage where you can just buy it once and use it over the course of many years. That happened. That was in the past. You know. So I always use that while sowing out. But now in the last years, I kind of learned to work without it. It's one of the things that kind of is a great disinfectant, one of the best, because it also doesn't really negatively affect the health if you already have seedlings. Yeah, but also you get it over here. You I think you buy it in 1.5% or 3% in that kind of concentration where you would apply it, and that makes it kind of expensive. So every now and then, when I really need it, when I'm sowing something out where I feel like the seeds might already be a little bit coming up with problems, then I will use it. And I generally recommend to use something like that. So every now and then it happens to you that kind of it opens up the bags, even in low percentages. It's still bubbling a little bit, but it's a good kind of disinfectant. One of the few that are available that do not negatively affect the germination rate. You know, like because you often still have seeds that are coming up, and if you use something like, for example, copper, people used a lot of copper back then as a disinfectant, but it has a negative effect on the seedlings, and or at least on the seeds, kind of making it hard for them to come up. So there aren't that many kind of stuff. There isn't a lot that you can use. So yeah, every now and then. But right now I'm sowing out totally basic. Very often I've been using the soil the way it came out of the bag, just making sure that the bag stays closed, that nothing can get in the bag. And that can work, but sometimes when you already get soil that is contaminated with, let's say, fungus gnats, like in this case, then you should have probably done more work to get it to a point where they might have not made it. I'm not sure how they react to that kind of pesticides or fungicide or whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure how it works on fungus gnats, but I think they might be all right nonetheless. They might be able to even make it through that. They're pretty hardy. It's hard to get rid of them again. So we will probably be having fungus gnat problems for a while here on the channel. But it isn't really a huge problem. It can become a problem when you take them out of the containers and then you have them. You need to constantly water them. And when you do that, you kind of keep them around because the soil always has to be a certain humidity for the seedling. So it can be hard to get rid of them again, but we will try to just reduce the watering to a point where they can no longer replicate themselves, like really watering like as little as possible. And I hope we can get it under control with that. Do you provide extra heating for your greenhouse? My climate it has gotten a lot milder in the last years. Where I live, we used to have very cold winter that went down to -20, -25 Celsius. So it used to be very cold with hard frost, and we no longer have that kind of. The last time it happened, maybe 2000, in the mid 2000s, early, and since then I haven't had a winter that was really, really cold. And during winter, on average, the temperature is around freezing point, but constantly raining. So I have them in the greenhouse. They need to be dry. You can't plant them out because the constant rain would be too much for them. It's not even that the temperatures are too cold, and they are too cold. That it's not that. We just had a few nights that were -7 Celsius during the night, and it instantly affected the few plants that I still had outdoors. So it is too cold, but the constant rain is the bigger problem here. So keeping them dry in the greenhouse, and I also run an electric heater with a digital thermostat, and I have that set at 1 degree Celsius, so just barely above freezing. It just holds them above freezing. The temperatures are usually warmer in the greenhouse, even because during these rainy days, the greenhouse still heats up. So there are only 1 or 2 months out of the year where the heater is really running very often during the day. And it only kicks in when the temperature in the greenhouse goes below frost. And then it only heats for as long as it takes to get the temperature up again. Because otherwise it would be too expensive to run that thing. With the way I use it now, I can maybe, I don't know what it costs, but maybe $350 a year for the heating, just for the heating costs. And that is just a careful, like, kind of guess. But it's not so expensive as it would be if you would have the heater run all the time. That would be too expensive, Electricity costs have gone up a lot here. And if at some point I can put a solar panel on there somewhere, or besides the greenhouse, we will do that. We might actually do that on the channel. The moment one of these companies wants to donate one of them, I would just set it up on the channel. We will build that thing and see how it goes, But for now, I have no problem to just, like, the way the costs are right now, it's still affordable enough. It's not cheap, and it still hurts every month, but it's okay. If it allows me to do the hobby here, then it's worth it, because all the videos that I post here, the time-lapse videos that I post here, if you cannot, that is stuff that you cannot measure in kind of money, because that is the kind of capital that you have for the channel, kind of a digital kind of good. And it's just great to have, and you always have the plants that you can show. You never really run out of plants that are flowering for the first time. So there's always something interesting for the channel. So it might cost a little, but if you look at it just from that perspective, that it gives back so much, then it's definitely worth it, Yeah, the costs of electricity are very high. Maybe 35 cents per kilowatt hour over here. I'm not sure how that translates into other countries, like what the costs are in other countries, but over here that's a lot. And I already have a pretty high electricity bill because I use one of the old school heaters that heat the water. Like, I have a big water tank, and it's also heated by electricity, and it costs a lot to heat just a few hundred liters of water that go into that tank. So every time I'm using warm water, that thing goes off again. So I had to become aware of the cost of electricity at some point. And now that I'm single again, kind of with with divorce and all that, I had to get the cost of electricity down here, like the use of electricity. I got rid of old school kind of freezers. I had frozen a lot of seeds where I decided I don't need it anymore. That kind of stuff, you know. So now I'm trying to reduce the bill every month. Putting all the eggs into the basket of renewable electricity had kind of negative influence on Australia. Yeah, look, I mean, renewable energy, if you look at the fact that it's kind of we're not getting more of any kind of the kind of stuff that we are mining, you know, and a lot of countries in Europe are very sensitive about nuclear energy, especially after, you know, Chernobyl. So politically, the direction was going away from it. And it's very possible that if you would ask people now, like in the country, in let's say in Germany, if they want to use nuclear again, a lot of them might not make it. They might not pass that. You know, they might say the majority of people might not want to do it with nuclear, just because, like it is kind of where I live. There's a reactor, an older reactor that keeps being in the news. Over here, we make a lot of jokes about it. You know, every time something happens, they talk about the nuclear reactor that is somewhere close by. And yeah, it's just something that you have no problem with if it's in someone else's neighborhood. But once you have it in your neighborhood, it kind of becomes a subject, you know, where you constantly have to defend it. And even if it makes sense, then people are against it, you know. It's just, I guess that is why back in the days, like the German Chancellor Merkel had decided that we're done with nuclear, you know. And again, the other stuff that we're mining, we're not getting more of it. But I believe they have to be more patient, you know, like the patience to give people the time. You just can't, like one of the things in Germany in particular, like with the Green Party, was that they had good intentions, but the kind of timing that they were using to get people to change, you know, it was unaffordable. For example, like I live in an old house. If the heater breaks here, I'm screwed. I'm completely screwed because replacing it will already cost thousands, and that is a lot of money for me, you know. So it is kind of difficult for people that are already poor to kind of by whatever kind of new technique they are currently seeing as the best, you know, like that kind of a pump, heating pump kind of thing, you know. Like I talked with someone and they told me I would have to pay 150K into the house, spend a lot to get that house. Hey guys, the smartphone has turned off because it was overheating. So I just wanted to say thank you all for participating. I will be back tomorrow morning. Sorry for going offline. It automatically turned off the app. I almost lost the whole stream, so I'm just trying to finish this video, finish the stream, and save it, so it doesn't get lost. So thank you for being around. Happy to have to continue that discussion tomorrow, maybe when the smartphone isn't so overheated. I touched it and it was very hot, so might have to at some point change the phone. Hey, good morning. Yeah, I was just offline. Smartphone had turned off, but I was able to finish the stream now, and I'm very happy about that. So, but I gotta end it because it might turn off again at some point. I don't trust the smartphone is constantly overheating, like the classic issues that you have, like with the older phones. I already have a new one. I just have to switch to the new one, and I'm too lazy to, you know, I gotta save everything on the new phone. So I'm pushing it into the future until I can no longer, like, until I have to do it. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for participating with the stream. The stuff with the nuclear, I'm happy to have another chat about. I wish I could say a lot more, but in my opinion, like where I live, it might make sense, that they are doing it, but people would be against it. And yeah, but I see no good, like that right now. Everything that goes into renewables just takes time. It is a commodity. Sometimes we might even not make money on it. It might not make sense to do it, but at some point when you can store electricity longer, then it might be a thing, like where you can, where renewables are, I mean, they are the future probably, but politics also needs to keep in mind that it takes money to upgrade whatever system you have. People have spent so much time building heating with for example, with gas, that kind of stuff, where I live, they have been pushing gas as a heating method, and now everything has become so expensive that it makes no more sense, that they have built all this infrastructure for nothing. So yeah, there's no good perfect solution right now, in my opinion. But I will use whatever allows me to get away from spending so much money, because I can't afford it already. Like the way it is right now, heating the house, electricity costs are already high. So I hope that at some point we will be able to just generate all the electricity that we need with the sun or whatever, with some kind of solar kind of thing that gets me to no longer having to pay the electricity company. And I hope that will happen one day, because right now it would be possible, but they're not doing it because it would be bad for the electrical, for all these companies that have strong lobbying, all that stuff, But yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I enjoyed being able to talk about this, and I'll do another stream tomorrow. Yeah, but going offline now to save the stream, because when the stream kind of exited, when it closed the app, the stream was no longer there, so it would be completely lost. So yeah, thank you for joining me in the stream. I'll be back tomorrow doing another one around the same time. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed this very much. Sorry for the short time where I was offline. Thank you.